You've seen it everywhere, right? From the Eiffel Tower to your local park, the selfie stick. It feels like such a modern thing, born from our smartphone-obsessed world. But what if I told you its real story started decades earlier, with a forgotten patent for an idea that was 30 years ahead of its time? So, this is the question at the heart of our story. Because to really get the selfie stick, we have to travel back in time. We're going way back, long before the word selfie was even a thing, to meet the guy who invented the future just by trying to solve a very simple, very human problem. All right, so our story doesn't start in Silicon Valley. Nope. It begins on the romantic streets of Paris. Let's meet Hiroshi Ueda and find out about the frustrating moment that accidentally sparked a global phenomenon. Okay, so picture this. It's a cold winter day in 1983. Hiroshi, who's this proud engineer for the huge camera company Minolta, is on vacation with his wife, Mariko. He's got his fancy Minolta camera, but he keeps hitting a problem we all know so well: asking a stranger to take your picture. You know how it goes. The photos are blurry, they're framed all wrong, or even worse, there's that little bit of panic that someone might just run off with your expensive camera. And this quote right here, this is the line that changes everything. Mariko's simple, kind of sad question just gets right to the heart of it. This wasn't about technology. It was about wanting to save a personal memory, you know? A moment in time just for the two of them. And that question, it just stuck with Hiroshi all the way back to Japan. So, back in his lab in Japan, Hiroshi gets completely obsessed with an idea that, at the time, seemed pretty crazy. What if his arm could just be longer? He started trying to build a solution, but he was met with, well, total skepticism. I mean, this is what his colleagues at Minolta actually said to him. They laughed at the idea. Back in the 80s, photography was about capturing beautiful landscapes or other people, not yourself. The idea of a close-up self-portrait was seen as just bizarre, almost a little vain. But Hiroshi, he just ignored them. His solution was actually surprisingly low-tech. He started with a basic telescoping antenna from an old radio. But he hit a wall almost immediately. How in the world could he frame the shot if he couldn't see through the camera's viewfinder from that far away? And the breakthrough came from the most normal, everyday place you can imagine, his morning shave. As he was looking into his bathroom mirror, it just hit him. A mirror! He realized he could attach a small convex mirror, kind of like a shaving mirror, to the stick right next to the camera lens. That would reflect the scene back at him. And boom, he could frame the shot perfectly. And this was the result. He called it the extender stick. There was no Bluetooth, no remote shutter button, none of that. You had to actually set your camera's timer, lift the stick up, frame your shot in that tiny little mirror, and then hold your smile for like 10 seconds. It was clunky for sure, but it worked. So with a working prototype, Hiroshi was ready. He was going to present his invention to the Minolta board. And while he managed to wow them in the room, the public's reaction, well, that was going to be a completely different story. Can you just imagine the tension in that smoky boardroom? All these old executives are just staring at this strange metal rod. Hiroshi attaches his camera, sets the timer, and lifts it high. He yells, "Everyone smile!" A flash goes off. When the photo is finally developed, they're just stunned. It's a shot unlike anything they've ever seen. There's Hiroshi in the foreground, with the entire board perfectly framed behind him. It captured this sense of connection that a normal photo just couldn't. But despite that awesome demo, the extender stick was a complete commercial disaster. It ended up being classified as chindogu. This is this brilliant Japanese concept for inventions that are technically really clever, but are just too socially awkward or impractical to actually use. And the extender stick? It was the ultimate chindogu. So the bottom line is, the world just wasn't ready for it. People felt ridiculous holding a giant antenna in public just to take a picture of themselves. The whole culture of the selfie just didn't exist yet. Sales were terrible, and the product, along with Hiroshi's patent, was just quietly forgotten. I mean, just look at this gap. 30 years. An entire generation passed between this thing failing and it becoming this massive success. So, what changed? Okay, so let's fast forward 3 decades. The world looks completely different now, and without even knowing it, it was perfectly set up for Hiroshi's forgotten invention to make a comeback. Look at this comparison, it says it all. In the 80s, you had film cameras. In the 2010s, we have smartphones with front-facing cameras, which completely solved the framing problem that Hiroshi had to use a mirror for. In the 80s, photography was about other people. In the 2010s, social media made you the subject. The embarrassment of taking a picture of yourself in public was replaced by the global phenomenon of the selfie. And this brings us to such a powerful image. An elderly Hiroshi Ueda, his hair now white, walking through the super busy Shibuya crossing in Tokyo. And everywhere he looks, he sees young people, tourists, students, all of them happily holding up his invention. They are confidently framing their own memories exactly like he dreamed of all those years ago. From a product with such terrible sales that it was quickly pulled from the shelves, the Selfie Stick now sells millions upon millions of units every single year. The useless invention had become an essential travel accessory for an entire generation. So, what does the strange 30-year journey of the Selfie Stick really teach us? Well, it's a lesson that goes way beyond just a simple gadget. And this is the core takeaway right here. Hiroshi's invention wasn't born from some desire to create complex tech. It came from his wife's simple wish to capture a shared memory. The technology was just the tool to fulfill this really deep, timeless human need. And here's the kicker. Hiroshi Ueda never made a fortune from the Selfie Stick. His patent expired way back in 2003, years before the boom even started. But for him, the reward wasn't the money. It was the satisfaction of walking through Shibuya and seeing his vision, the one that was once laughed at, now embraced by the world. It was that quiet vindication of knowing he was right all along. And that leaves us with a final thought. Hiroshi's story proves that an idea considered completely ridiculous in one era can become essential in the next. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, what seemingly strange or embarrassing inventions that we might laugh at today are just waiting for the right cultural moment to change everything.